Hey, it's Brad. I wanted to do a little talking and a little playing, and the topic is my very first song. Um, it was my very first song that I ever wrote, and it's called My Very First Song. And I put it out on my first album I put out last year. Actually, it was earlier this year. And this was like a collection of really old songs that I had written over the years. They were all different styles, different things. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do musically. I just wanted to get these songs recorded and out there, and kind of test the waters with streaming and all that. And um, my very first song actually goes back to when I was 10 years old, and um, I went to visit my grandmother, and there was a neighbor kid named Blair, and he was really cool, and he loved music, and he was my age, and his dad was a dentist, and he had some money, so he actually had like any like cassette he wanted of new album that came out. He always had it, and it was always stuff I hadn't heard, and I remember that he handed me the cassette for Van Halen 1984. And I remember looking at this, and I was already just real interested, and almost felt like I was getting away with something. I know this was like in the middle of like the Satanism scare and devil music and all this stuff that was going around the South. And I don't know if that was going on everywhere, but it dang sure was in the Southern churches. And here I am looking at this cassette of this like cherubic like angel smoking a cigarette on the front, and I already felt like I was getting away with something. And then he played some of the album for me, and I couldn't believe Eddie Van Halen on guitar. And then of course, it's hard to imagine this, but I'd never heard the song Jump before, and when I heard it, I was just like, this is amazing. And I love the sound of the keyboards. And for whatever reason, I really gravitated to the keyboard more than the guitar. And I was telling my parents, that I wanted to get a keyboard. My mom was a pianist, and I would try to play that, but I wanted that cool like 80s string synth. So at one point, it seems like it was a total impulse buy. We were at the Barton Creek Mall in Austin, and my parents walked into this music store. And it's hard to imagine, now in the days of Amazon and you research things before you buy them and everything. My parents just started talking to this sales guy, and we walked out with this keyboard, and it literally cost, in 1984, $1,700. My first car was like $1,000. Like I mean, I cannot believe my parents spent that much money, because and we didn't typically have a lot of money. My dad was a small business owner and a home builder, so money was up and down and up. So obviously we were on an upswing for my dad to shell out money like that just on a whim. And we got this keyboard, and it was the Lowry Micro Genie something. And it's funny, like I wondered if those things are like valuable now, because I don't know whatever happened to the keyboard, but the thing is, you can get one of those on eBay for $50 or something now. But at the time, this was supposed to be just like the Cadillac of keyboards. At least that's what he told my parents, and I never saw anyone else have one. And it had these little cartridges with other like drum sounds you could put in, and it was like expansion cartridges. And he was like explaining how we could buy all this cool stuff, and we never saw those cartridges anywhere. I've never seen one for sale. It just seems like total scam. But anyway, I got this keyboard, and the first thing I did, I just skipped learning anything and wrote a song. It was instrumental. It was not groundbreaking stuff, and it was a complete rip-off of Van Halen. Actually, I can show you. It was... Repeat. And that was over like a C, F, G, just like Jump, total ripoff. But I had a, a little right hand part with some rhythm and had a little drum beat with it, and it was cute. But the thing about it is I played it over and over and over again. I didn't know how to play anything else. And then my parents would be like, hey, play that song for us. Somebody would come to visit, like an aunt or an uncle or something. Hey, Brad, show that, because I was the baby of the family. And it's like, oh, how cute, we can play something. And so I would play this over and over and over again. And the thing about it is it stuck in my head and it never fully went away. Like I would be 20 years later sitting around and all of a sudden I'd be I would get this song in my head. I remember when I first started doing some home recording back with the little cheap Tascam cassette based 4-track. I remember thinking, oh, I should record that song, and it's just a thought that crossed my mind or whatever. And I kind of forgot about it. But then fast forward to, last year, I was like, I should do that. I should record the song, actually write the words being the story of that song. So it is like word for word. And then give it like the guitar treatment that it deserves, So I wanted to do an Eddie Van Halen style, two-handed tap solo over it. And what I did is I cheated a little bit. Instead of going for the Eddie Van Halen 1984 sound, I actually went back to the sound of Eddie Van Halen on the first album. If you ever listen to Van Halen's first album, Eddie's guitar is almost entirely all in one speaker. Let's just say left. I got a 50-50 chance of being right on this. Left speaker is all Eddie and not a whole lot of effects on it. And then the right speaker is just this little bit of hint of Eddie, but the phase 90, the phaser is turned up to like 100. And when you hear it from both speakers, it's this, a lot of two-hand tap solos with this phaser that's on about medium, but really it's kind of like almost no phaser and then too much phaser on the other side. And I actually recorded it that way. I did the solo over that. And the interesting thing about two-hand tap is when we played guitar in the 80s, it was a staple. Like if you played metal, you almost had to learn some two-hand tap. And then when the 90s music started, which didn't actually start in 90, I would say it was about 92 is when the 80s ended. When grunge got big and alternative, if someone even said they knew how to two-hand tap, you were laughed out of the room. It was like a symbol of the 80s. And for me, I got kind of caught up in that. I think that I just pretended like I didn't know how to do it anymore. And it's not like anybody asked, but it's just like I started playing, Nirvana or started playing punk or whatever, and I just never really did the two-hand tap. If I ever did, it was kind of as a joke, and all that. So there was kind of a period of time in there for many years where you would never hear anyone do any kind of tap. But then it's come back in the last few years. So I do have people ask me about, oh, you do that two-hand tap thing. It tends to be people that are in the 30 to 40 age range that just never really heard that much. And excuse me. And I was going to show you a little bit how I do that. Now, I am self-taught. I've got my bag of tricks or whatever, but I'm not the most technical guitarist in the world. I'm not the best guitarist by any means. If you want a true lesson on the best way to do these technically sound, this is not it. All right, so what I wanted to do on this solo, I had the bridge is in A minor, and that's what I'm going to be playing over. in this case, my playground on this was the A minor scale on the little E string. So really the notes I've got to work with. Some combination of those. And I want to do something semi-organized, but you know, I could improvise on those notes if I wanted to. In this case, I went with something that was had a little bit of a plan of attack behind it, and that was to start off here and work with these same 3 notes here, and then change the note that's at the top of it. And the way I start this is a little flick. I've got to voice that open E string first. So I do, you don't hit it hard enough to actually fret it. You just touch it and flick. And then I'm hammering on the rest of the notes. So I go. And I'm working my way back down. It's a hammer on and pull off. So then I change the top note. So it's, and then I work my way up to here. And then back down. And then a little, which was very, very jump. Totally ripped that off. But hey, that's what I set out to do. So all together, it is. All right, so I guess that's the end of my very first song, Two-Handed Tap, Van Halen TED Talk, or whatever this was. Overall, it's a song I'm proud of, because I mean, it literally was something that started a really long time ago, and it was cool to actually record it and hear it. I even am putting a remix version of it on the new album that's coming out August 15th, because I just got better at production, and I wanted to give it, you know, I wanted it to have the love it deserves. So anyway, I look forward to everybody hearing it, and thanks for watching.